Well, good morning again. This is Mirador Television broadcasting out of the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, East Sussex. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and trying to keep you informed and up to date with what's going on, not only in this small town, but also the rest of the world. And it was a bit of a mishmash this morning on the newspaper front pages and headlines. There's no clear-cut favourite for what was the most important thing. And so we hope that our politicians and our leaders are getting on with it and getting us started. Now, we have got a link in to Suzanne Mouchot, and I hope that she'll turn up in a little while. But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll see what we've got to tempt your palate. Now, I'm going to play two things now for you, and both are on the same theme. We are a commercial operation, as it were, and we have been known to advertise for various people. And I was digging out some stuff over the weekend, and I came across two things which I thought might amuse you. Here's the first one. That is a little commercial that we did for the Brewers Arms, one of our better known pubs, and one that's run independently of brewers, of breweries. And if I may say so, my theme today, with the sad passing of Stephen Catlin over the weekend, that independence is my theme. Let's not get tied into being part of something that we can't control, particularly political parties. But we also, in keeping with those commercials, did little mini features. And here's the one on the brewers.
Lewes is known for its independence of spirit. Many attribute this independence to the fact that American revolutionary Tom Paine lived in the town. He lived and worked in this building, which was a former pub. Right next door is another ancient pub, the Brewers Arms, affectionately known in Lewes as just the Brewers. There has been a pub on this site since the 16th century. A list of landlords from 1744, when records began, hangs proudly on the wall. The present building was erected in 1905 on the original site of the old pub, called the Ship. The Ship was a pub that lived through a glorious drinking tradition in the town, when it was graced by 9 breweries and 63 drinking establishments. That number has now been reduced to 15, while the number of breweries is reduced to just 1, the much heralded and successful Harvey's Brewery, which is first recorded as producing beer in 1790. Many of those 63 pubs have now disappeared, or have been taken over by big pub chains or major brewers. Perhaps because the independent spirit of Tom Paine has permeated the building, or perhaps because the Brewers Arms is so very well managed, the pub has remained independent. Business heroes of Lewes are stamped with the brand independent. and the Brewers fits that mould exactly. In 1994, Kevin Griffin took over the pub and has proudly continued the free house tradition ever since. That independence is not likely to disappear. Kevin's family now run the pub, and it is firmly established as a family-run drinking establishment. His attractive and charming daughter Kathy is usually the first person a customer sees as they come through the door. Her welcoming character and warm smile greets both locals and visitors who enter through that front door. Helping her at the beer pumps is her brother Liam, who co-manages the pub with his sibling. The pair have continued the inn's traditions as well as the excellent management style set by their father, to establish the Brewers as a firm town favourite. At the bar, tradition is maintained with a range of Harvey's beers, from bitter to winter warmers. But the spirit of independence flows through this lovely pub, and microbreweries are well supported. Exotically named breweries such as Burning Sky, Dark Star, Long Man and Hopback turn out ales with exotic labels such as Hop Smack, Hop Head and Summer Lightning. There are two bars. The front lounge bans the use of fruit machines, jukeboxes or television sets.
We consider the family atmosphere the most important part of this pub. The front bar has no music, so it's very much for conversation and people meeting and chatting. It's a very good place for people watching, and I learn something every day, whether I want to or not.
The back bar makes up for that with big screen TV, music and traditional games such as pool and darts. The esoteric Sussex game of Toads is also played here, and there is a team in the local league.
Yeah, we feel it's important to have the two contrasting bars. It gives the customers a choice of what sort of atmosphere they'd like. This back bar tends to be the louder of the two, which has the pool table, the television and the jukebox.
The pub has a strong relationship with local sporting folk. Every Saturday, the Grass Bowls team piles in from the nearby greens to raise a glass to victory or drown their sorrows in defeat. Like the pub, the bowling club is unique. The greens are ancient, laid on the old castle tilting grounds, where knights in armour knocked one another off their horses with lances.
The bowling people come in every Saturday morning when they've been playing at the old bowling green, which is the oldest in the country, and you can always tell whether they've won or lost from their faces before they even get to the bar. Over the years we've been headquarters for many different organisations. We have lots of sports teams, and also the Church Wardens of St Michael's used to meet here many, many years ago.
Like most pubs, Sunday lunch is a favourite, and this bar is jammed with diners, regulars and occasional drinkers who drop in for the traditional English roast and a pint. Yes, the Brewers is a very special pub. It's independent, it's family run, it's steeped in tradition, and it has great food and drink.
I've been coming here for years. In fact, I predate Kathy and her family as a regular. With the good food, good service and good company on offer, I think I shall be a regular for a good few more years to come. So, there you are, one of our pubs, one down, 15 to go, and we're very happy to do little features like that on businesses. In fact, we have a standing invitation to people up and down Lewis High Street who are in business to drop by on any day at any time, well, between 8:30 and 11, and tell us what they're about, to tell people what business they're in, to tell people and invite them to come and use their premises. In other words, to join in our theme of let's save the high street. Haven't been overwhelmed yet, and it's up to people as to what they want us to do, particularly in this bad period when the world really is so insecure. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. Holy hum, holy hi. It is now 10:31 and we're in the home stretch. Let's Well, let's play this little promo. There you go. That's me. I got my microphone on. Yes, I have indeed. Right. Okay. Now let's just take a little trot around the county, shall we? And what I think we'll do now is we'll just take a look at. We've got a very very short. What is it? Demonstration, if you like, of what New Haven is all about. Oh, good morning.
I have to tell you that you might think the energy crisis is over.
Hang on. Now, there's one thing that gives me great delight. Great delight. It's getting Stuart upset first thing on a Monday morning. So here he is, the old man. Good morning.
Good, thank you. Good morning, young man. How are you?
All the better, I suppose, for seeing you.
There's a fantastic headmaster that head is in Will Keir Starmer abandoned his key policy of bringing in a green energy country.
Well, do you know something? I mentioned you in dispatches earlier on because there is a story, and I said that undoubtedly on Wednesday you would amplify it.
Yeah.
That in fact that Labour's policies on energy are going to cost so much that they never get off the ground.
Well, no, they earlier they talked about 100 billion pounds, and it all stands over Ed Miliband because he was leader of the Labour Party at one stage, and he was very interested in green stuff and so forth. So anyway, he went on and on and on, and he became, well, he got discredited, didn't he? And he became Mr. Green. He's now the Minister for Green Energy or something like that. And he actually said we must actually spend £100 billion in having a green energy country, and he said, yeah, I was supported in this by what Joe Biden had, with £1 trillion to actually bring about the green country, and so on. But some of the people are now in Labour Party are actually having a real row about it, saying, is it a question of wind turbines or hospitals? And it seems that there's a great swing towards hospitals because of all the nurses and all that kind of thing. Right. Now, another thing is that we got another kind of thing about Drax. Now, for most people, Drax, I have to explain, Drax used to be one of the biggest power stations in the country, and it had six plants fed by coal. Okay. Now they went very, very sillily and got rid of coal and decided they would find some renewable source. So they went to America and got lots of wood pellets. And they shut down 4 of the plants and replaced it with wood pellets. And the wood came from Louisiana, which is a long way away. Yeah. And it was finally discovered that these wood pellets from Louisiana were more carbon emitting than the flipping coal was. Oh. So what happened now is I was called by what's his name? Dominic. He writes for the Sunday Times. Dominic, Nigel. What's the family? Dominic. Anyway. Dominic.
You're as bad as I am on a Monday morning. No, I can't remember the names either.
Nigel, no, not Nigel Dempster, Nigel someone else. Who recently died.
Gosh,
they got the Conservative Chancellor. Nigel.
No. Yes, I'm struggling too.
Hang on. I've got it here.
Yeah.
Here we are. Dominic Lawson. Time's up for Drax's tray burning racket. It says up, across Europe, a revolt is growing against the policies imposed to meet the net zero carbon emissions target. In Germany, the government seems likely to back down in the face of public opposition to its proposed law enforcing homeowners to switch their heating from oil and gas to heat pumps from next year, as Murrow's reports on the New Statesman. The estimated cost is this, and so forth. So, we've been through all this about, these heat pumps and how expensive they are. But it goes on that really, perhaps they want to get people to get a renewable source to actually do it. So they wrote to Drax, and it turns out that Drax hasn't got a flipping source to actually, but because they've got these wood pellets, so they're not going to do the job.
I mean, I've been skeptical for a long time, Stuart, about the ability of mankind to actually put all these green policies in place with anything like the time scale that we've been talking about. But sometimes we all shoot ourselves in the foot because the planet was going to actually disintegrate if we didn't actually do these things. And now, of course, as you say, there is a swing about can we afford them? Well, if in fact it is true that the planet is going to disintegrate if can we afford not to? Where do you stand? Do you think?
Well, I don't think that climate change is actually going to abolish mankind. I just think it's going to be very, very bad for our children. and grandchildren, I think, because as I keep saying, there hasn't been enough investment in renewable energy.
Yeah.
There hasn't been to actually sort this thing out. And then there's certain people don't help themselves, like the Greens, by actually making promises they can't keep.
Yes, that's right. But I mean, it does worry me that look, sitting here and looking out onto the high street, it's a very pleasant sight actually. The courthouse bathed in sunshine, but car after car after car after car, and is our leadership have what do they had to sacrifice to make sure that they demand that everybody has a car or two cars or whatever? Is it all coming home to roost?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, there we are. Now, don't fail to check in with Stuart on Wednesday because he'll have.
Well, we've got the battery park in Somerset as well, haven't we?
Energy,
nuclear,
yes, matters.
Energy matters. Yeah.
Some fascinating stuff, and as we keep on telling you, Stuart is always 2 or 3 months ahead of everybody else, and what his predictions are, and so find out what the man of the moment is. Almost 3,000 people think that he's wonderful.
What were we up to now?
We're about 2007.
I think it was sick there, wasn't it? See, I'm a bit worried about this because, I mean, if I know all these people, one of them might come up to me and say, "You owe me money, Dorby."
Yeah. But what you can do is you can start to sell your autograph.
I don't think so, really. I'll have to make myself nice, wouldn't I? Anyway, I'm going to go.
Okay, good to see you. And as they say, have a good day. Right. We don't seem to have Suzanne in view, so we'll. I think we'll just have a look to. We just looked at New Haven and the. I thought I know. Yes, it is time to put Parkinson's on the run. This becomes an issue every weekend? Something happens to do Parkinson's, and Jeremy Paxman is part of a group that are now running a vlog because we all wake up one morning to find out that we've got Parkinson's, and it is not a pleasant thought, but nonetheless we fight it as best we can. So come on, give us support. Well, a bit of a truncated intro to this morning's. It's Sunday morning, you see, and my fingers are not used to a Sunday environment. I didn't get up until 7 o'clock this morning, but that doesn't mean to say that I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock to continue with Mirador Television from the White Hart Hotel. The reason that I've said that I'm getting up still early is because this is just about Parkinson's. And despite the fact I got Parkinson's, I still get up at 5:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30, and off I trot to do a day's work on television. It's online television, Mirador Television. It comes out of Lewis, and that's where I'm broadcasting from. And it's a gorgeous Sunday morning, a wonderful Sunday morning. And there's a gentleman busy doing the garden outside. The birds are in heaven. There's a pussycat wandering around, and a gentle breeze. It's a very pleasant day. And I'm going to enjoy it. Despite the fact that I've got Parkinson's, what I do is I tell it to bugger off. And it's not helping me. At the moment, I am shuffling like an old man. And as I think I reported in my last note about Parkinson's, is a good friend looked at me in the eye and said, "Shuffle like an old man. You are an old man." And indeed, I suppose I am. But I refuse to let Parkinson's get me down. And it frightens so many people. But in many ways, one of the things that you can do to fight Parkinson's, if you do have it, is to be positive about it, to tell it that it is not going to affect you. Yes, it stopped me walking, more or less. I shuffle. My back aches. I can't stand for any length of time. And in fact, on Tuesday of this week, I'm going to take a receipt of a scooter so I can go and beat up the roads and the lanes and the pavements around about Lewis at all of 8 miles per hour. But that's going to make all the difference to me, and it'll open up a whole new area of possibilities. But that doesn't mean to say that I will lose my positive approach. I will try to walk wherever I can. I will try to perform normal type of life and to keep going and do my television stuff and so on. Sometimes I'm quite funny first thing in the morning because I do lose my train of thought. Parkinson's does that a bit to you. I'm not suffering from dementia. I'm not suffering from even amnesia. I'm not suffering from any of those things. But age and the combination of Parky does actually take away a bit of your quality of life. I've always prided myself on being fairly articulate, having a reasonable command of the English language. And sometimes it imposes on that. And that really does piss me off. But nonetheless, I still tell it to get lost. A lot of top-notch people have Parkinson's. It's not to be afraid of. We had a little reception for the coronation in the White Hart Hotel in Lewis, and amongst the guests was a friend of mine who's just recently found out that she's got Parkinson's, and it bothered her for the longest time. But she is now beginning to adopt a positive attitude, and she is beginning to say to it, "Hey, you're not going to get me." And that's what I do. I say, "Hey, you're not going to get me." And I'm happy to say that an old colleague, Jeremy Paxman, and some of his other established and well-known people, far better known than me, have started a blog designed to help people who have got Parkinson's. This isn't designed to help anybody, really, other than let me sound off about it. It is not going to get me. I am going to fight it to the bitter end. I'm 83 now. And so how much longer have I got? Who knows? Who knows? I feel sprightly today. I might fall off my scooter tomorrow. No, I'm not going to go and drink drive. But whatever I do, I will maintain my positive attitude. And that positive attitude does depend to some extent upon looking fairly regularly at the advances that are made in Parkinson's research. As I said before, it tends to be lost amongst the appeals for all sorts of other charities and research organizations, particularly cancer, and perhaps that's rightly so, and partly because Parkinson's tends to strike later in life. Not exclusively so. There are some young people who have it, but it does tend to strike later in life, and as a consequence, it doesn't get the same attention that some of the things for children and animals and so on gets. But that doesn't mean to say that we must give in to it. No, indeed. We must not give in to it. So this is not an appeal, although by all means send a few bob to Parkinson's. They continue to try to find new ways of beating it. I take about 5 pills, and I hate it. Oh, dear. And at 5:30 in the morning, taking a pill that you don't like isn't particularly a great thing to do. But nonetheless, what I would like to say to people is, look, understand Parkinson's. I'm lucky. I don't do this. Some people are uncontrollable. I had a friend in London who was like that. It varies on how it hits people. But try to be as understanding as you can, particularly if it's our motor bit that goes. When I shuffle, I have to say to friends, "Hey, slow down. I can't go as fast as you along the high street." Most of them are pretty good about it. The odd one strides on and leaves me trailing in the wake. But generally speaking, we need to be positive. We need to have a go at this and see if we can actually beat it into the ground, because it's a nasty, 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 vicious disease. And it strikes without you even knowing it. And that's the nasty bit. Anyway, let's end on a nice positive note. We are very much into the broadcasting on a Sunday morning, just about Parkinson's. I'm going to get dressed in a minute. I'm going to go for a pint at lunchtime with a good friend of mine, a political friend, and we tear everything apart and put it back together again and have great fun doing so. So until I decide to get up again and do a nice little rant about Parkinson's, toodle pip. Toodle, toodle, toodle pip. Well, oops. Okay, there we are. There's my appeal. I'm not appealing particularly for funds. I just feel that we need an awareness, because it is not Parkinson's is not one of those fashionable diseases. And the fact that I hobble along is if I say to people that I hobble because I got Parkinson's, it's a bit of a ho-hum. So don't fall into the trap of what should we say? Feeling sorry. Just appreciate that some people have got Parkinson's, and we need to be just sort of accepted. We can't tootle along the high street as fast as others, and sometimes we could. It's tough, but don't blame us for it. There's a tendency to sort of say we hold things up or whatever. Anyway, I'm feeling sorry for myself there, and I don't mean to. Okay, now, just taking a look at the inside stories from the papers, just for a minute or two before we say goodbye to you. This business of Holly Willoughby and Philip Schofield, they're adequate, but they're not particularly talented. I would. I would stack a couple of the people that we've had in the past against them, and these are people who would never ever get a chance to see the light of day in because let me put it this way, I don't go for this. There are lots of a very limited number of talented people who can do these things. There are lots of them out there, lots and lots and lots and lots, we just don't look. It has got to the point where people cling on to these things. As Holly Willoughby is average, at best. Philip Schofield is less than average. I never understood, and he got that silly car out. Snap his fingers, and he appeared. Just I'm sorry, but I don't go along with this thing. I think it's manufactured by both sides to stir up all sorts of awareness or whatever. Nah. You can never find it when you want to, can you? No, you never can. There we go. The first hour. Now, is you look at the young lady here who hosted this for a while. Now, that's talent, I'll tell you. That's talent.
In the next few days, we are going to camp out in the Grange, in the south of the area of Lewes. The old man likes it here. He thinks he can just laze about and never do any work. Well, we'll see about that. Welcome to Mirador.
All this week we've been down in the Grange Park shooting various bits for Mirador Television. And while I'm here, I was thinking about the history of this town because I'm surrounded by it. And I thought, when I do a rant, why not do it here? Particularly if I'm aided by a little sip of champagne. It does loosen the tongue. But the topics are as serious as any serious topic can be. The first issue that I want to take up is that the computer people are getting out of hand with their damn passwords. Now, it's easy for me to say, or for you to say, he's an old curmudgeon, he's an old codger. What does he know about passwords? But when I made an odd comment about passwords on my Facebook page, I got all sorts of reactions from people of all ages, all persuasions, all backgrounds, agreeing with me. Passwords are getting out of hand. I think they've sent the boys down to the basement and said, we don't know what to do with you during the pandemic. See what you can do to improve the situation. But of course, let computer people loose. And their improvements are to tamper with what is already working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It doesn't matter what I tap into on my phone, I suddenly get a demand for a password. And at the bottom it says, if you press and click, the password will come up for this particular page. And it never does. There is a red warning saying, this is an old password, you changed it. Well, I don't remember changing it. And I find it extremely inconvenient that I have to look for a password so that I can get into a page or a site that is mine, and some weirdo off in the middle of Google or wherever is asking me for a password. It has gone too far, chaps. Get your act together. I once spoke many years ago to an insurance company that had started to take bookings online. And I said to the man who actually started this. What will it take to make this a huge success? And he said, one-stop shop. You pick up the phone, direct line, and everything can be solved. You don't have to do anything else. Well, it's the same sort of thing. At one time, computers and the computing systems were easy to handle. It was a one-stop shop. You had your password, you entered it, you clicked, and away you went. Nowadays, God help me, everything flashes up every time you try to do that, and it makes it very uncomfortable trying hard to get the information, to the point where I have said, and I've sent emails, if you ask me for a passport one more time, then I am going to say to people, don't use this site, and I'm going to stop using it myself. So start to think, chaps. It may be that you're security conscious. It may be data protection and all the rest of this silly nonsense. But if you're pissing off the consumer, then you are in trouble, because we are the people that make you work. We are the people that pay for your service. Think twice. And sit down around a table and decide whether the consumer is more important or whether you want to add yet another layer of passwords. The commercial. Keith Hayes. To the bit.
Boiled or fried. I don't know who he thinks he's kidding. He only ever has oysters and champagne. But I have to work with him.
Break an Egg is going to be historic, and it's coming from the Grange Park in Lewes. Beautiful park. Why did she choose this? Because she said it's old.
You got that right. You said historic. You belong in the right place.
There we go. Never a moment's rest. Cha 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 cha.
I bet you were running around here when you were little, right? When this was built.
I was never little.
Or were you not? Well, good point.
But this particular house is quite interesting. First of all, if you look at the outside, is the Newtons, who lived here for about 250 years, the family, non-stop, actually nicked all that cladding from the Priory when Henry VIII had it pulled down. So despite the fact that he was very Puritan, the Newton family were thieves. And isn't it often true that the very righteous are the first to break the law?
There's something to that.
Oh,
I guess.
Yeah. You should know.
Me? You're the one who's not letting me look in your bags. God knows what you're hiding in there. Maybe a couple of stones or something?
Yeah, it's my bloody bank account that I'm worried about.
Not interested.
Yeah. Anyway, the interesting thing about the Newtons is that they were very anti-royalist, and this was the Cromwellian stronghold during the English Civil War. And the royalists set out from Arundel to try and take
In the next few days, we are going.
Now, I'm sorry to have to cut Annie off in her prime, but we've come to the end of our time, our allotted time, although we're not quite as fierce on it as some. But there is a very talented young lady, and I'm very sad that she's not still with Mirador, but was never given the opportunity to appear on mainstream television, where she would have done extremely well. and then we're making fuss about Holly this and Holly that. I'm not saying that a dime a dozen, but there are lots of people who have the ability, the personality, the nous to appear in these morning shows and to make a real go of it, and that's one of them. So I don't care whether Holly will address the Schofield saga on the sofa today, or whether she'll utter Phil's name. Oh, dearie, dearie me. They actually get themselves to a situation where they start to believe themselves. And that is a danger. That is a danger. We've got to go. We'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll fumble our way through some more. And why not? And why not, indeed? Fumble is the word, I think. All right. Until tomorrow. Toodle, toodle, pip.